Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're going to unpack a really crucial concept for navigating, well, the sheer complexity of the 21st century, adaptive leadership.
Mm-hmm. And we'll be drawing heavily on the foundational ideas from Ronald Heifetz, Marty Linsky, and Alexander Grashow at Harvard's Kennedy School.
Exactly. It's a model that feels incredibly relevant, especially now in this VUCA environment. Everyone talks about volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous.
It really forces a rethink, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Away from that traditional leadership idea, the leader as the authority figure, the one with all the technical know-how.
Right. Adaptive leadership shifts the focus completely. It's more about the capacity of the group, the organization, or maybe even the community to actually manage change and, importantly, learn as they go.
Yeah, fundamentally, adaptive leadership is about facilitating these collective adjustment processes. The leader isn't necessarily dictating the path forward.
So, not pointing the way, but
What?
setting the stage.
Kind of. Creating the conditions, perhaps, for people to confront their own challenges, to take responsibility for the changes that need to happen.
And that feels vital, especially when, the usual technical expertise or the standard operating procedures just aren't enough.
Precisely. We're talking about situations that demand we question our core assumptions, our habits, maybe even deeply held values.
Things where there's no easy answer in the manual.
Exactly. And the key insight here is that effective leadership in those situations isn't about providing quick fixes. It's more about asking the right, sometimes difficult questions.
And holding the tension. Is that part of it?
Yes, sustaining that productive tension needed for the system to evolve, but crucially, without letting it fracture completely.
Okay, let's dig into that a bit more. You mentioned a core distinction in this model, the difference between technical problems and adaptive challenges. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure, it's fundamental. Technical problems, well, they're the ones we generally know how to solve. There are existing solutions, established expertise, clear procedures.
Like fixing a machine or applying a known scientific principle.
Exactly. There's specific knowledge, a pretty clear path to resolution. Authority figures or experts can often just implement the fix.
Okay, got it. So how do adaptive challenges differ?
Adaptive challenges are trickier. They don't have ready-made answers. Solving them requires learning, often significant cultural shifts, maybe a re-examination of values.
And often a change in people's roles or how they interact.
Yes, definitely. They touch on people's beliefs, their loyalties, their ways of doing things. Think about implementing a completely new strategy that forces teams to collaborate in ways they never have before.
Or trying to shift a deeply ingrained organizational culture. There's no simple instruction sheet for that, is there?
Not at all. And here's where a common leadership mistake happens. Trying to apply technical fixes to what are actually adaptive challenges.
Treating it like a technical problem when it isn't.
Precisely. And the result? Often frustration, resistance from the people involved, and the problem just persists. It gets stuck.
So if the adaptive leader isn't the technical solver, what are their main functions in this process of social mobilization, as you put it earlier?
Right. It involves several key functions. First off, diagnosing the system. This means really getting a handle on the patterns, the dynamics, the hidden resistances within the group or organization.
Like taking an X-ray. See what's really going on beneath the surface.
That's a good analogy. Second, regulating the level of distress or tension. Adaptive change is inherently uncomfortable. It often involves conflict.
Because people are being asked to change things they might value.
Exactly. So the leader needs to create a space where that conflict can actually be productive, a sort of holding environment, without letting the heat get so high that the whole system destabilizes.
It's like keeping the pot simmering but not boiling over.
You got it. It's a delicate balance. Too little heat, nothing changes. Too much, and things fall apart.
That sounds incredibly difficult to manage. What else?
Another crucial one is identifying and addressing the losses. Any significant change means leaving something behind, maybe a way of working, a sense of identity, even certain perks or status.
And people naturally resist loss.
Of course. So acknowledging these losses, whether they're symbolic or material, and helping people navigate them is absolutely critical. Ignoring the loss just fuels resistance.
Makes sense.
Then there's empowering others. This isn't about the leader carrying the whole burden. It's about delegating real responsibility, fostering leadership potential at all levels, building the group's collective capacity to face the challenges.
So building the team's muscle to navigate the uncertainty themselves.
Precisely. And finally, there's the function of sustaining the process. Adaptive work is rarely a straight line. There will be setbacks, criticism, intense pressure to just go back to the old comfortable ways.
The status quo is always tempting.
Always. So the leader needs resilience, the ability to hold steady, keep the focus on the adaptive work, even when it gets tough.
This really dismantles that traditional image of the all-powerful leader, doesn't it? The hero with all the answers. Instead, the adaptive leader becomes more of a facilitator.
Absolutely. The model directly challenges that myth of the lone hero riding in to save the day. It proposes a much more horizontal view of leadership. It's about the practice of mobilizing people to tackle tough challenges and learn.
Like an orchestra conductor, they don't play every instrument.
That's a great way to put it. They don't play every instrument, but they work to bring out the best in each section, coordinating them to create the music together. The value isn't solely in the leader's individual brilliance.
It's in unlocking the adaptive potential of the entire system.
Exactly. It means letting others grapple with the problems, experiment, maybe even fail sometimes, and learn from those experiences. The leader helps create the safety for that to happen.
Which leads to a really interesting idea you touched on. Leadership without formal authority. How does that work in this framework?
Well, adaptive leadership isn't tied solely to rank or position. Anyone, really, regardless of their official title, can exercise leadership.
Anyone? How?
By mobilizing others towards a shared purpose, by facilitating that difficult process of adaptation when facing a challenge. It's about seeing a need, stepping up, asking the tough questions, helping manage the resulting tension.
So influence and the ability to get people moving and thinking differently are more important than the job title.
That's the core idea. It's about identifying the adaptive work that needs doing and taking initiative, convening people, framing the questions, maybe challenging the status quo in a constructive way.
That really opens things up. It means leadership isn't just for the few at the top. It's potentially a responsibility anyone can take on.
Precisely, and that's incredibly important today, isn't it? Complex problems rarely get solved by one person or one department. They require collaboration across different perspectives, different levels.
So thinking practically, where do you see adaptive leadership being particularly useful or relevant right now? What kind of contexts?
Oh, it's widely applicable. Think about major digital transformations that disrupt how entire organizations work, or deep organizational change efforts needing new ways of collaborating.
Crisis situations too, I imagine.
Definitely. Institutional crises where the old answers clearly aren't working. Also, managing cultural clashes, maybe in mergers where you have very different company cultures trying to integrate.
Or even managing diversity within teams effectively.
Yes, situations where different values and beliefs are in play. And it's crucial in developing public policy for complex social problems, things like climate change or public health crises, where you need to shift citizens' behaviors, not just implement a technical fix.
And this all ties back to that VUCA world we started with. The uncertainty, the competing interests, that make top-down technical solutions often inadequate, right?
Exactly. Adaptive leadership gives us a framework, a set of practices for navigating that very uncertainty. It encourages experimentation, collective learning, and building solutions that actually emerge from the system itself.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, we've explored adaptive leadership, its roots with Heifetz and his colleagues, and why it's so critical today. We've distinguished technical problems from adaptive challenges.
And looked at those key leadership functions: diagnosing the system, regulating distress, attending to loss, empowering others, and sustaining the effort.
And highlighted that powerful idea that leadership can and often must happen without formal authority.
Fundamentally, it's about remembering that adaptive leadership focuses on facilitating change, tackling those messy problems that require learning and cultural shifts differently from technical ones. It involves managing resistance, acknowledging loss, empowering others, and seeing leadership as a shared practice.
So for everyone listening, perhaps a final thought to consider. Can you identify an adaptive challenge in your own context, work, community, maybe even personal life?
And building on that, how might you begin to apply some of these adaptive leadership principles, even in a small way, to start addressing it?
And if this has sparked your interest, we definitely suggest exploring the work of Ronald Heifetz further. His book, Leadership Without Easy Answers, is really the cornerstone text on this.
It's a challenging but incredibly rewarding read.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to exploring another topic with you next time.